Alright you guys, what's going on? This is another video for a 3 chest arc run. Um, it is a level 3. I thought it was level 2 when I queued up for it. This is all a pug group. I didn't put it together. I just was one of the pugs they picked up. I'm gonna kind of guide you through some of the things that happen during this. If you're trying to do a speed run, I can tell you some of the things that need to happen in order to accomplish that. First things first, like we picked up this this Banshee right at the beginning on accident, so that needed to get focused down pretty quick. Other than that, AoEing down these blobs isn't too hard. Usually the DPS takes care of that pretty quick. The only thing that I would say is a good idea is to stun the green one as much as you possibly can, because while it doesn't do a whole lot of damage, it just helps out. Also, it keeps everything grouped together if that one's not jumping around. So the best thing that you can do for these rats is to for sure stack up. It makes sure everything dies a hell of a lot faster. If you've got AoE stuns in your group like mine has here, it makes sure that they all just kind of fall over and disappear. No big deal. If you're fast enough, you'll find this Banshee in this next group, and while you don't have to kill the Banshee with it, you can. Try to make sure all the torments get interrupted. That's the most important thing if you have a Banshee pulled ever. You don't ever want to stand in the purple puddles, because purple puddles are awful. And I try to focus the big guy for interrupts. I wouldn't recommend pulling all three of these at the same time if you don't have a group that's paying attention, because if they start getting their heals off, it's not worth doing it. You might as well just do the two and then do the big one. But if you can manage to kill all three of them without them healing, it's a win-win. Also, of course, watch out for the slicer from the big one. I did put a marker on the ground, and that green marker is where the whole group should stand. Notice I'm saying no peeking in chat so that they try to stay behind that wall. As long as everybody stays completely concealed, the wraiths will follow you back and completely group up. The hunter is kind of out of position because he should be right against the wall. It's the best place for them, for everybody. And then everything just instantly dies if they're all grouped up. The blue marker is the same thing for the next worm pull. Make sure you watch out for slicers and don't let the big guy heal. My group wasn't really aware that I put that down, I think, but that's okay. I try to get a shield off on the little mana dudes before I come around the corner. It doesn't always work, but it'll stop their phase breach, so that it won't be as much AoE damage on the group. My group didn't stack as well as they should have, or else the wraiths would have all came over. When I pull these, I try to focus one and have the group focus the other one. So I know somebody in the group's gonna get the interrupt on the other one, and I know I can get the one that I'm targeting. That's what I try to do, and if I get the interrupt on one, I instantly switch to try to get the next one. As a prop pally, my interrupts are broken, so it makes it pretty easy. If you have hero in the group, you should use it on the first boss you pull in here. If not, you pop drums like I just did. Personally, I feel like if there's only one melee, the melee should just stay next to the tank because I'm not going to take damage from the volatile mana anyway. Otherwise, spread out. You should try to put the triangle, the beams, kind of close together so it's just a thin line. A lot of people do to the sides of the room, just to make sure it's cleaner. It shouldn't be too hard. There should only be 3 chains like that at very most. Usually the groups that I do only have 2. Now for these next groups, the bubble that they just put down doesn't have a debuff except for a 50% haste increase, which applies to mobs and players. So I usually pull both groups, try to get as many of the mobs out as I can, so that they don't receive the haste increase, but the whole party should be basically inside those bubbles. That really helps out. Again, I just try to interrupt as much as I can. I try to interrupt the guys that are in the bubble to pull them out of it, and if everyone's out of it, then I interrupt the big dude. For this group, you want to try to leave the center guy, the caster, alive as long as you can, so that he is the guy that makes that bubble. And if you can have the bubble up when you pull the boss, it'll make the boss kill quite a bit faster. I don't think it happens with this group. DPS is too high and it killed the caster, I'm pretty sure. Yeah. The most important things for this boss is when you get suppression on you, like the hunter has right now, he's kiting away from the group and not taking as much damage as possible. Another person will get banished. I don't think it's called that, but I can't remember what it's called. There it is right there, and that needs to get clicked so that he can get out of it. Other than that, there is a lightning ball on the ground in the back, and you should not be standing on that. The puddles, there's puddles all over the ground that can be picked up for a haste buff that they stack, and the haste buff is pretty insane. I've had it up to 300% haste before at one point. Now I don't need to pull this side group that I just pulled, but if I do, it means that I won't have to clear any trash at the very end. And since I can AoE it down in the middle of these 2 other groups, and they don't really do a whole lot, it makes it super easy for me. It makes the clear just a little bit faster. I also could have moved out of this room. This is a really small room to do this in. I should have done the bigger room. Because of the puddles, it makes it quite a bit more difficult. I try to interrupt the big guys as much as I can with their channel and stay out of the puddle. these spiders, I try to pull them all at the same time, gather them all up, have the range and DPS AoE them down. I do my best to get out as soon as possible. If I see they're getting low, I'll pop my Divine Seed and get out of them. This wasn't a very good kill on the spiders. I've had a lot cleaner pulls before, but it went fine. Nobody died, so. After the little spiders are dead, everyone should stack up for the big spiders. Any kind of blessings, like Blessing of Freedom, Blessing of Protection, will get people out of the spider snare. So if somebody gets jumped on, I try to put a bop on them or a freedom. I'm pretty sure that other things that cancel roots will get you out of it. Spider won't be able to hurt you anymore. Or if you stun that spider, or disorient or anything, if you do any kind of CC on that spider, it'll stop attacking the person that it's targeting. This boss, it'll do blink strikes on 2 random ranged usually. Usually it's ranged. Sometimes it's a melee if you don't have enough ranged. And you just have to make sure you move out of it when she does the blink. The only other thing that she does is put a web tether on 2 targets that need to move away from each other. This dude does a lot of damage if people aren't fast enough, but people are really quick usually. And I'm not entirely sure how that one broke, but it broke really quick. She does summon an ad that does the same rooting effect as the ads before, but again, it doesn't really matter. The spider dies so fast. I tell people not to DPS it if I if I'm ever in comms with them. I tell people to DPS it if I'm in comms with them. After that boss is dead, I go straight for this pack, and I try to do my best to interrupt the Chaos Bringers. The Chaos Bolt that they're casting is the only thing that doesn't need to get interrupted. They do a portal and a brand. These mobs die pretty quickly, but if they get their brand off, it's one of the main things that slows down the run, because they mutate into a new form, which has full HP. So that needs to get interrupted. Or the portal. The portal's pretty bad too. If there's ever one of these seers in your group, or being attacked, it needs to get focused if you're AoEing stuff down. They do quite a bit of damage to the group usually. So for the pack after this mob, I try to pull it down to the stairs. I failed really hard there, and my group was a little too fast for me. But I try to stack them up. They'll pull to the top of the stairs if you do it right. This group can also hurt really bad. I can't imagine doing it on like a +10 or higher. It would hurt really bad for the group. The AoE is pretty insane. For this trash, you can skip it if you have a rogue or a demon hunter. I'm not sure. I'm pretty sure a banish would work too. Not entirely sure though. But if they're sapped, you can just walk by and they won't put you in combat. I almost always pull these together if I'm anything below like plus 5 or 6. Just because the Chaos Bringers are super easy to interrupt, and the other things don't do a whole lot of damage. You do have to make sure that the portals and the brands get interrupted, or else that pack's going to be a hell of a lot harder. The Chaos Bolt is the only thing I don't care they get off in their cast. Again, so there's a Seer in this group, so you want the Seer to die first. As the tank, you should just stay focused on the Chaos Bringer so that he doesn't get the cast off that make it harder, make it take longer. But the Seer does the most AoE damage for the group. I do my best to throw out bops and Blessing of Sacrifice on people that I feel like are taking a lot of damage, just to make sure that they stay alive. Any deaths counting down towards the timer is not good for me. I decided to use drums here so that we could get full effectiveness of the 40 seconds, instead of using it on the last boss where we would have clipped it. The only things he does is the Shadow Slash he just sent out at people. You just have to walk out of it a little bit. It's not too hard. He puts some purple swirls on the ground you have to move out of, and he has the green pool that you don't want to step in. He also summons 2 ads at a time to come down and kind of attack the party. The ads don't need to be focused, they don't hurt. And the very last thing he does is Wicked Slam, where he tries to throw you into one of the green pools. It's a pretty simple boss, just don't stand and stuff.
Beware.
So because we pulled that one pack before with the other 2, we're able to just head straight to the boss now because we have 100% forces.
Made quite a mess down here. It has been too long since we purged these catacombs of refuse. It appears we have a rat infestation.
And because we have 100% forces, this little circle or area in the dungeon gets cleared out. Otherwise, there'd be mobs here still that you could kill if you didn't make it to 100%.
I have not survived.
So for this boss, you want to interrupt the accelerating blast as much as possible. The only time you wouldn't is if you have a mage that wants to spell steal his stacks. I try to kite him around the room to get him away from the purple crystals, because they are going to explode at some point. Force bomb starts, and you want to move away from them until they explode, and then you want to run through them as fast as you can so that you're not riding the wave. Make sure accelerating blast keeps getting interrupted because his damage increases every stack he gets at that. At 50%, he'll try to start casting Banish, and he sends you off to another part of the instance. You just, the quickest way that I've found is to open your map and kind of orientate yourself, figure out where you are, and then start heading back the fastest way. The ads in between you and the boss, when pulled or put in combat, will start channeling something that stuns a random party member. So if at all possible, you want them silenced, interrupted at all costs, or stunned, just so that they don't have the stun on the party member. Once the channel ends, the stun ends. Once you get close enough to the boss, inside his little dome, he'll start attacking you again. And if you didn't hero on the other boss, this is where you would hero usually, to make it a quicker kill. The only different part about phase 2 is that he puts unstable mana on one random person. I usually try to put Blessing of Sacrifice on that person so they just take less damage. They should be cutting it around so that they don't stand in more than one explosion. Other than that, the fight is pretty much the same, and he gets burned down pretty quick.
I think not. The Grand Magistrate will have your heads for this.
So as a cool little bonus for this video, I ended up actually picking up my second legendary piece. It didn't really end up being a great legendary piece, and I wasn't super excited about it, but it's a legendary piece, so I'll live with it. If you have any questions or comments, go ahead and leave them in the comments section below. Like and subscribe, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Hope you enjoyed. Thanks for watching.